So, in a kind of crazy bit of news, it appears that the player that has almost leaked that there will be a season is Paige Bueckers. It is Paige Bueckers who has now said what she said and had people reposting it. So it says here, obviously this is an article from Elle Magazine US, and there is a full article about Paige Bueckers where I'm sure so much more is said about Paige. If you are listening, if you're reading this and watching this video as a want to know more about Paige Bueckers, learn more about Paige Bueckers, that article is there for you. This is not a learn more about Paige Bueckers video. This is purely a video about one line in said article. So shout out to Elle Magazine for post. It says here, who has been tearing it up on the court and off the court this season's part of Unrivaled. And in fairness, she has been. If she robs Aaliyah Boston of Unrivaled MVP, I'm going to be extremely annoyed because it is a robbery. Her team is below 500. And it says here about her love of reading, how she expresses herself through fashion, what to expect from next year's WNBA season, and then brackets, yes. She says there will be a season. Thank God for everybody involved. First of all, from a selfish perspective of I'm happy there's a season so I can actually start talking basketball again, because I love the fact that I get paid to cover this league. And for anyone being like, this channel is just talking absolute nonsense, yeah, there's absolute bullshit going on right now. And I'm sorry, covering a 3v3 league is what it is. It's nothing. The league isn't anything absolutely spectacular. That being said, Paige essentially saying that there will be a league is huge, because this is it's good hearing this from Paige. No quote tweets. Nobody has really talked much about this, and yeah, this is a huge one, because again, I've always said this where I'm regardless of the executive committee, there are 5 players. There are 5 players. They wouldn't do this. Obviously, none of these players would do this. But I fully believe it is Paige, Angel, Breanna. Aaliyah Boston might be in that conversation, but maybe she's the 6th. But Paige, Angel, Breanna, A'ja Wilson, and obviously Caitlin Clark. If they are the player, if those players say, we don't care about if you guys strike, we don't care if you strike, we are walking the picket line, there's going to be a season no matter what. There won't be a strike. I don't think those players will do that. I'm not accusing those players of doing that. There's a 0% chance those players do that. That being said, we have to say that is how important the Paige Bueckers saying it is. Anyone outside of the executive committee, like Tash Cloud, going out of her way to burn it down, which is hilarious as well, because it's the year where Tash Cloud is dead set on going back to New York, and her team are oh, we don't actually. It's yeah, her team are basically we're still trying to find the ideal backcourt partner besides Sabrina and Escu. And Tash Clouds are yeah, I want to go back to New York. I want to go back to New York, and the team are yeah, we don't fucking want. We don't think you're the ideal backcourt partner. They were higher on keeping Emma Messiman, who, by the way, I'm not going to say Emma Messiman stunked it up, who can't play with Jonquel Jones. That is a more accurate statement for it all. Emma Messiman and Jonquel Jones, we saw it when she was, she still averaged 14 a game. It's not like Emma was bad by any means, but it's she's your Jokic. She's the closest thing to female Jokic. She doesn't have the movement of Aaliyah Boston, but she shoots it better. She shoots a little better than Aaliyah. She's what Aaliyah. Could you imagine what Aaliyah Boston would have been had she not slimmed down, got faster? She's a bit. That's what kind of, and was 10 years older. That's basically what MMS would be. I'm not even. There's no debate. Aaliyah's way better than Emma right now, but they're similar type of player. That offensive hub big. And they kind of are the only two that are really like that. I think Alyssa Thomas is a rugby player. She's a bit different. But Emma, in the right you could build a playoff system around Emma. And I wouldn't be surprised if she decides to go to play with Rashid Mazian in she could decide to play with Rashid Mazian in Connecticut, and like a system built around her, like her replacing Tina Charles. Like I don't think again people realize this. Like if she replaces Tina Charles with everything that team has, it's like okay, now we're looking at a serious team. But like yeah, we're looking at likelihood of there being a season. We genuinely are, because you've now got a situation where one of I will call them the core five. There are 5 players to transcend this league that will be absolutely fine and that aren't on the executive committee, because I think you can make the argument that that Fee transcends the league. I do. I think you can absolutely make the argument that Nafisa Collier she transcends the league. But like for me, it's a maybe in that scenario. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. But like at the end of the day, it's like the league is in a position now where you've got one of those players. Like if Caitlin Clark goes and says there will be a season in any sort of an article, even if it's about her books, you take that as a big thing. Paige Bueckers saying it matters. It really does. Like not but like I think when it comes down to it, I actually think the players, like the league and the players getting back to each other quickly means that there's going to be a season. Like they're getting back to each other really quickly. I think the players are, I still think nothing is going to be signed until the very last day. And the season could be like, look, if I'm the players, like it's not the end of the world if they delay it by a few weeks. The problem is if they delay it by a certain number, like the season's already cramped as is and it becomes tough. But like they could definitely delay it because if you look at the Indiana Fever schedule and some other teams, like the Indiana Fever literally have 3 back-to-backs and 2 random 6-day gaps in the middle of the season. Whereas the Dallas Wings have the most cakewalk schedule ever. The Dallas Wings don't have a back-to-back. The Fever have 3. Ironically, the star player who refuses to play back-to-backs has no back-to-backs. But yeah, look, this is an important one. It is very important hearing Paige Bueckers saying this because, again, she's someone that matters. Like, I don't care what Tash Cloud says. I don't care what a random, like, and I understand that they're absolutely they're caring about the little guy. They're caring about the players in the league. They're bargaining more for those players. Like, I absolutely understand that. But like, there are still 5 players that I do believe that if they decided to cross the picket line, that the league would be business as usual. Like, if the league lost every single player other than those 5, I genuinely think the overall ratings in the WNBA would be 80% the same. Like, I actually think if the league lost Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, because you can't just have Caitlin Clark. If the league lost Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Sabrina Ionescu, Paige Bueckers, and Angel Wilson, if the league lost those 5 players, the viewership will be a quarter of if the league had those 5 players and a bunch of random players that just came out of college. So yeah, that obviously is kind of irrelevant to the point, but that's just make my point for how important it is to hear like Paige Bueckers saying this of all players.